Hey everybody, today I wanted to talk about something that kind of happened during college. I just like to call it the myth of literary diversity. One of the last classes I took as an English major was a genre fiction course and dealt heavily with science fiction and detective fiction. It was taught by a female professor who I'd had, I think, as a sophomore a couple years before. And in that earlier class, she did one of the coolest but most frustrating lessons, where she had us write like an 8 to 10 page paper on what have you. We took it, turned it in, gave it back to her or whatever, and she read them all. Came back to the next class, she handed us the papers back and said, "Good job, everybody. Nice papers and all, but most of what everyone writes to fill up a paper when you're giving a space limit is fluff. Take your papers back, write them in 3 pages." I was so pissed at the time. But when I went home and started working on the revisions, I was like, you clever bitch. It was really good. But anyway, in the detective and science fiction class, it was no secret that she was a lesbian. It was actually a topic of discussion in the class, because we used sexuality, race, religion, gender, any sort of cultural space as a lens through which we could view these different books we were reading. And to help illustrate the differences in these certain characters, we would actually read, I guess there were supposed to be variations on the genre norms. We read books that had, black characters as opposed to a normal, the supposed norm in these genres of a white character. Female versus male, gay versus straight, Catholic versus Buddhist, whatever. Something would step it away from whatever the norm was. She and most of all the other students in the class immediately got into it and they're like, oh, these books are so different. The genre's been turned on its ear by the way they present these characters and these ideas. And most of the people got more animated in books whenever the perceived otherness was kind of internalized as a norm for the book, and it reflected them. The black students liked the Easy Rawlins books, where you had a black detective. The lesbian students liked the lesbian detective. All these sorts of things where they liked it when it reflected them. Which, I get. Every group liked the character who was like them. But with me, being, I guess, the prototypical creator and star of detective and science fiction, basically being a straight white male, I didn't have any sort of more attachment to these characters or any less. They were just books. Since I didn't have any attachment above and beyond the norm, I read the books simply as books, and I saw the exact same characters, I saw the exact same plots, the exact same set pieces. They were truly generic. They were of the genre. They were the same damn books. Changing the gender, race, sexuality, whatever, didn't change the books for me at all. I believe that an author could take and write one book, preferably a detective fiction sort of book, because it's more bound by genre conventions than sci-fi. Write one book and kind of leave some blanks, almost like a Mad Lib, and simply sub in the race, sexuality, gender, religion, whatever you have of the main character, and then throughout the rest of the characters and situations reflect it, from that. So instead of having, a white detective male with the white femme fatale, they have a black detective with the black femme fatale, a lesbian detective with a lesbian femme fatale. These things happen in these books, and it's so lame, it's so transparent. Just push that tone based upon the change of that star throughout the rest of it. Take that book and all its variations and submit it to multiple specialty publishing houses. Go to a traditionally, I guess, gay book publisher, to a black publisher, people who focused on whatever, Jewish books, or whatever you want to have as a subculture that would have their own literatures. Put them out there simultaneously, see which ones get picked up, even do it over a period of time, and see if any of the critiques that people write will catch it. see if the people reviewing books are casting broad enough, wide enough a net that they see that this is the same book, or see if they are as insular, if they have tunnel vision like the audiences and are only looking at, here's the gay book review, here's the Hispanic book review, whatever, and see who finally catches on. I'd love to take this and give it to a university, a research publishing company of some sort, and see if anybody catches it. I fully agree with aiming your works to a target audience. That's perfect business sense, and it's perfect for the audience. It's good to see someone who looks like you. Diversity in literature as an idea is great. I totally disagreed with the professor's assertion that by making those changes, the stories themselves were fundamentally changed somehow. I don't think they were at all. You take out the genre norm of the hard-boiled white detective, and you put something in, and you pop a hard-boiled gay, Korean, Hindu, whatever detective, it's still the same story. I didn't get it at all, and that may have been reflected in my grade that I didn't really support her primary thesis for the entire class. Good class, I just think the premise is a bit shaky. Entirely unrelated, have you ever wondered why the keypads on the number keypad on a keyboard or calculator versus the number pad on a phone are reversed? I always thought it was weird that on a keyboard, the low numbers 0, 1, 2, 3 are on the bottom. It goes 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But on a phone, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. And it goes flip-flop. Just weird. Another random note, the emotional heartbreak of Huey Lewis in the News. When I was younger, I really liked Huey Lewis. I liked their songs, maybe because Back to the Future, and I think there was a Disney cartoon where they had to set to, I forget which song it was, might have been Hip to Be Square. But I liked Hip to Be Square, because as a nerdy young kid, I thought that it was finally saying, hey, it's cool to be you now. But growing up, I look back at that song and it's like, no, I think he's complaining. It's like, it sucks that these people are considered cool, Huey Lewis was kind of a jock. Hip to Be Square came out on the album 4, not, Roll for Initiative or something. His big album was Sports. He was making fun of nerds, and that kind of hurt my feelings. Well, Mr. Huey Lewis, if that is your real name, which I know it is not, I'll have you know that yes, I am rather square, but I consider myself fairly hip. Any decrease in time of my hipness is dealt more with my age than my relative squareness. I'll have you and your news know that I've moved on emotionally. You're dead to me, Huey. Mr. Clegg. One last note to help fill this week's comics content quota. If the next time DC and Marvel decide to do one of their intercompany crossovers, I want to see them do a what if Elseworlds type story where Avin Sur's Green Lantern ring does not find Hal Jordan. Instead, it seeks out Frank Castle. I maintain that the Punisher would be like the perfect Green Lantern. He's got everything they need. Excuse me. He has absolutely no fear. He will take on anybody. He'll take on everybody if he feels that's what he has to do. He's not afraid to die. Dude's basically Charlie Bronson in Death Wish. He doesn't care if he's going to die. He's going to fight trying. He has definite judgments about right or wrong. The Guardians, they specify, they don't tell you what punishments are, what's right, what's wrong, what's legal, what's illegal. They say, you're the person who's going to be kind of judge, jury, and executioner here, and you have to met out justice for your area. Castle has no problem doing that. He's going to say, hey, if you're a bad guy, I'm going to shoot you through the face. So he's got that sense of justice applied to his sector down. He fits, their rules. Plus, Frank Castle would love to have one gun that could be as big as he wants, as small as he wants, as long range as he wants, as quiet as he wants, as loud as he wants, and that never runs out of bullets. He has like the gun that can do every gun. So long as he keeps it charged, he is like the best Punisher ever. again, somebody in power at DC, Marvel, whoever, keep this out of Winnick's hands. Just get somebody good on it. Make this happen. I would love to see a Punisher Green Lantern story that's not just some weird, fanfic or something. Make this one official. That's all for today. Nothing special. Take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you again soon. Adios.